here. Oh my God, first your name. What's your name?
My name is Attila.
Attila?
Attila is an Attila behind.
Awesome. So I'm here with Attila, who is only 19. And he already has his own game that he's designing with some other people.
An even younger friend.
Yes, so that's pretty impressive. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, of course. So what we're doing is we've sort of turned the tower defense genre on its head a bit. We found that most tower defense games were kind of boring. You sort of place down some towers and then you sort of proceed to watch the gameplay itself. So instead, we figured it'd be more interesting if we added in some RTS elements, ability to move your satellites around, to manually specify their targets, just things that keep the user engaged, keep you in the game. For example, if you try to leave the game alone, you're going to be doomed. There's just no way around it. Everyone we've had coming by the booth so far said it's been really engaging. They've all been vying to get it. We've had a lot of requests to get it on Android, which we're hopefully getting to do real soon. And for now, it's available on iPhone and iPad for just $1 on the App Store.
And did we ask the name of it? Did you say the name of it?
The name of it is BGP Orbit. If you look for Orbit on the App Store, you will see, if you scroll through a couple pages, but if you search for BGP Orbit, you should find it first result.
Right, and that's only $1.
$1.
I noticed that, like you mentioned, there were different types of ships, with lots of, like, were you incorporating different satellites with that as well? Because I noticed when you were playing it earlier, you tap it and you move it, and there was like a laser thing, and then there was shooting, and then there was something. What was that other one? So
there's a couple different satellites we have in the game right now. We have the combat satellites, which is the laser, the railgun, and the missile. And then we've got an energy collection satellite, this is sort of standard tower defense fare. We've got a healer satellite, which will restore the planet's health, and then we've got shield satellites that will bounce enemies back, but you don't get points for enemies that are just turned away from your planet. So you're trying to actually destroy them and get a high score, and then you'll get on one of the game's 2 leaderboards, one for a high score and one for completing as many waves as you can. And it all depends on how you play the game. You can either play it cautiously and try to get as many waves as you can, or you can go aggressively and really rack up your points really quickly, but perhaps not get as far in the waves.
You're saying that the game kind of adjusts to your playing style as well?
Yes, exactly. If you only have a few satellites, the game's not going to spawn as many enemies, but if you go really aggressive and you throw a bunch of combat satellites out, there's an active difficulty curve that is pretty much impossible to plot on a graph, but the game will continue to spawn more enemies based on how much energy you have, how many satellites you have, and what type of satellites you have. If you have a whole bunch of laser satellites that are good against dealing with soft-skinned enemies, the game's going to start throwing hard-shelled enemies at you, which your laser satellites aren't going to do squat against. So, yeah, it's just trying to find ways to make the game interesting and challenging and keep the player engaged in the game.
Oh, that sounds really awesome. Those of you who are watching, you know how I do, because you guys are lazy and I love you. So I will have links to it underneath here somewhere. If you're on Tumblr, they may not be there. If you're on YouTube, they may not be there. You need to check each one. And then you can check that out. When I get $1, I'll be downloading that game.
Sounds great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I just kind of stole you and you have to go do stuff. So thank you very much. All right, cool.